Is Hamlet primarily a tragedy of revenge? Now, I could go ahead and immediately say, yes, it is a tragedy of revenge and be done with it. But that wouldn't reach the 5 minutes minimum for the presentation, so let's look at this question a little deeper and understand exactly how Shakespeare presents revenge as a key theme throughout his play Hamlet, as well as considering different perspectives we can look at to alter how revenge is represented throughout the play by exploring how is Hamlet primarily a tragedy of revenge. This is the question I took the greatest interest in when instructed to do this assignment. First, we should clarify what defines a revenge tragedy. Highly coveted during the Elizabethan era, a revenge tragedy is exactly that, a tragedy of revenge. These dramas will often see the protagonist acting against an antagonist who has either wronged them or a confidant of said protagonist. Specifically, within an Elizabethan revenge tragedy, you will often see a ghost who recalls his own demise and the hero settling a family matter. Hamlet matches these conventions perfectly. But whilst I've been whittling on about what a revenge tragedy is, I appear to have neglected an important aspect of the assignment question. Who or what is Hamlet? Hamlet. This play has impacted culture beyond the bounds of any of Shakespeare's plays. The most filmed story since Cinderella, with so many renditions that it's practically impossible to have not seen at least one. It is undeniable that this play had an important role within English literature, especially when considering its impact on the revenge tragedy genre. Now, for the green amongst us, I will quickly summarise the play in the quickest way I know how. Okay, let's see. Dead, 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 and dead. Oh, and Horatio lives. As you can tell, like most of Shakespeare's tragedies, pretty much the entire cast is dead by the end of the play. Notably as victims of revenge, whether the primary target or those unfortunate enough to be swept up in the tide of retribution. So, as I clarified earlier, Hamlet most certainly is a revenge tragedy, but who is seeking vengeance against who? This question doesn't have a clear-cut answer, so I will present a few targets of revenge that we have to consider. Target of revenge number 1. Claudius. The first and most apparent target for revenge is Hamlet's uncle dad, Claudius, the current king of Denmark, brother to Hamlet's father, and husband to the widow and former wife of old Hamlet, Gertrude. When old Hamlet appears as a ghost in the limbo of purgatory, he details his demise at the hands of his brother, and instructs Hamlet to take him down. When looking at Claudius as the primary target, you don't have to look deeply into why he could be the target. It's simple, he killed Hamlet's dad, so of course Hamlet's gonna want revenge, right? Well, we need to consider Hamlet's eagerness to follow the ghost's wishes. This phantom bearing the appearance of old Hamlet was all the convincing young Hamlet needed to go and kill Claudius. Perhaps he had ulterior motives, such as that of maintaining the throne of Denmark for himself. Alternatively, Claudius has shown that gaining the throne of Denmark does have its, perks. Relevant side note, but do you know what the Oedipus complex is? Freud describes it as a son being unconsciously attracted to his mother. Well, it has been argued that this process is depicted within Hamlet. I believe this is the perfect time to bring up the second target of revenge, Gertrude. Upon an initial viewing, one may assume that Claudius is the key target of revenge, but perhaps an alternative primary target is whom Hamlet is truly focused on, Gertrude, his mother. A rhetoric reading of the play allows us to understand old Hamlet's words in a different light. During his monologue instructing the young prince to his plights, he tells him to let not the royal bed of Denmark be a couch for luxury and damn incest. Basically telling young Hamlet to put an end to Claudius and Gertrude's relationship. The ghost's fury is not solely focused upon Claudius, but also Gertrude. Let's not forget that she was the one who married Claudius after her husband's passing. An Elizabethan audience would see this relationship and be shocked, for it would have been considered sinful and therefore doomed to end in despair. Interestingly, it would appear that the ghost is aware of this when he tells Hamlet to leave her to heaven, meaning that rather than a bloody end, he wants Hamlet to allow God to be the incumbent of her penance. Revenge against her would not be at the end of a dagger, but within God's grasp. That's 2 targets of revenge down, and number 3 is Hamlet? That's right. When looking at revenge as a theme of this play, we cannot focus purely from Hamlet's perspective. We have to consider another character, Laertes. Following the death of his father, Polonius, at the hands of Hamlet, and the death of his sister, Ophelia, during a fit of madness, possibly also caused by Hamlet, Laertes becomes a foil to him as an uncomplicated revenge hero. Unlike the latter individual, Laertes does not allow himself to be held back by moral dilemmas of right or wrong. Hamlet, on the other hand, spends the good majority of the play contemplating whether or not revenge is truly the answer. Laertes seems to have no problem with this. He is easily flattered into becoming Claudius's pawn and vows to strike down Hamlet. This, once again, follows the key conventions of an Elizabethan revenge tragedy of a character seeking vengeance for their family. But who truly is the victor of revenge in this play? By the end, almost every key player is deceased. Bar one key character, Horatio. Horatio is a pacifistic individual who leaves the conflict standing. Those who seek revenge often end up in the ground, much like the one they were seeking. Considering the Elizabethan perspective on revenge, a Christian viewpoint would suggest that it is God's duty to seek vengeance of those who have done wrong, not humanity's. Maybe old Hamlet was right in instructing young Hamlet to leave her to heaven. So, why did Shakespeare write this play in the manner of which he did? Well, other than profiting on the ever-popular revenge tragedy genre, we could consider this play to be a cautionary tale of what becomes of those who seek revenge, and the demise that will soon follow all who are involved.